What do you think are the trustworthiness institutions we need in society? Next to the question, I do very much appreciate what kind of level of trust do we need among each other?
Well, I think, you know, the answer to the first part of the question depends heavily on the answer to the second part of the question. Because it's only through a matrix of trust for one another, individually and socially and within our own community, that these things can work well. I mean, I'm part of. Does anybody here know about Burning Man? I mean, is that something people know about here? How many people have actually been to Burning Man? Okay. Well, it's an interesting thing because what it's trying to do is to take some of what we've learned from the internet, self-organizing systems that we've learned from the internet, and apply them to the physical world. And it's starting to work in terms of being post-governmental approaches, and sometimes quite effectively. I mean, the first people on the scene in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina were a bunch of people who left Burning Man and went down there and set up soup kitchens and hospitals when the federal government was incapable of doing so. Ran blockades. There was a great picture in the New York Times of a soldier getting food from obviously an anarchist, if ever there was one, because the soldiers' food supplies didn't work and the anarchists did. You know, when government fails, turn to anarchy. The problem is that the other governmental organization is the multinational corporation, you know, and increasingly what's running the world in a way that is no longer countervailed by governmental resistance is large corporations that are effectively unregulated and unregulatable because there's nothing there to regulate them. And so, I mean, and you know, in some respects, I suppose they're actually doing some good, but I think we are now to the point. I mean, you and I and others like us used to talk idealistically back in the late '80s and early '90s about the future in which government as we knew it would become unnecessary. And I think we're a ways from getting there, and the road to that point is going to be filled with deep potholes and mistakes. And I'm starting to get a lot more realistic about how hard this is going to be. It's not something I'm going to see in my lifetime, which I once thought I would, you know, to any great extent. But I do recommend, you know, going out and doing test drives of various self-organizing systems like Burning Man, where you still, you know, you manage to get 40 or 50,000 people out in a totally uninhabitable place for a week or 10 days, most of them high on psychedelic drugs, and you know, they treat one another with great civility and order. You know, astonishingly little bad takes place out there. It just doesn't happen for a great length of time. So, but we need to experiment with those things and start working them into problems that need to get solved. In any event, you guys have got to go. I am very grateful for your indulgence here this morning. I am very honored to be here finally after all these years, and my prayers for the future lie very much in the hands of people like you.
Thank you very much, Chet Breedlove, and thank you very much especially to John Perry Barlow.